Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, Football Edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, 3Chord. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, AJ Fairchild, and Tony Fairchild. So, guys, thanks again for joining.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's the official last football podcast of the season for us, and this is our awards edition where we kind of go through and we talk about, all the awards that were given out for end of the year, as well as, all NWO sports teams as well. So, it's been a little bit since we've been together here and for our podcast. So, anything new happening with you guys?
No, just, AJ and I was able to go down and watch the state championship game with Liberty Center. Heck of a game. I tell you what, when it started out, Liberty Center came out on fire and stripped the ball, and we thought, oh boy, and then just couldn't recover it. But that Perry team is the real deal. And then, we talked about them being matched up even to even, everything you looked at was one was 1, 1 was 2, and it's the way the game played out. Just unfortunately, Liberty Center couldn't come away with the victory.
Yeah. How about the facilities? I know you guys sent some pictures as well. That's always a nice stadium.
Absolutely beautiful down there, or over there, I guess. It's just, I would love to have had an opportunity to make it to state when I was in school and play on a place like that, because it was just incredible walking into that stadium, and it was almost kind of like an intimidating factor, looking up and just seeing the stands go way up, how big it was, high end the place was.
Yeah,
everything about it.
That's a beautiful place, and it was really neat. Like as nightfall came in, the dome for the Hall of Fame came on, lit up. That's kind of cool in the background there. But it was neat being there. But I tell you what, I'm still being a Buckeye fan, I'd still think it would be way better to be playing in the shoe. I mean, you think that place was big, and I know I've been inside the shoe watching games, and it would have been way better to be there. But it's still a great facility. They had a great big area to set up there and eat, and all the press box was, like you said, top notch. It was definitely set up for professional football for sure.
Yeah, I mean the ground, or I guess not the ground floor, but the bottom floor of the press box area was like a full bar. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was
a bunch of tables set up, and you could just sit right there and eat, and it was neat. Definitely an experience.
That's awesome. Keith, how about yourself? I know you're in full swing of basketball season. What have you been up to?
Full swing of basketball, and actually I was doing the Bryan and Snore game while watching the Liberty Center game. So instead of going to timeout and playing commercials, I would do play-by-play of a couple plays of the Liberty Center game during the Bryan and Snore basketball game. I was like Kevin Harlan.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was a great game, and what else has been going on? Yeah, Keith and we've been doing basketball. AJ's been there a couple times. You were there the other night.
Yep.
I tell you what, Keith, I'm gonna bow down to you, dude. I tell you what, you travel in the basketball. That's a lot. That's way different than going one day a week to football.
Yeah. There's plus even just the game action itself. Like during football, plays 15 seconds, and you guys talk, and then we go to the next play, then you guys talk. Basketball is just go, and you throw in a couple words when you can. It's a different transition for sure.
I interrupt you a little bit every once in a while.
Go ahead, please do.
I jump in there, but no, definitely a different animal. And I helped with girls basketball last year, but didn't help with the boys. And this year I took over for Sebring.
Yep.
But to tell you what, it's busy. It's definitely busy.
Yeah, myself, I ended up going to the Big Ten championship game, watching Michigan get that win. I tell you what, Lucas Oil Stadium is phenomenal. It's a dome, and actually it wasn't open that day, but it's got even on the, I believe, the south side or north side, it's got the side of the building actually opens up and retracts, so you can see the whole kind of city through the side of the dome. I thought that was pretty interesting as well. So but yeah, we went down there and visited with my uncle, and we had a pretty good weekend there. But other than that, just still working on NWO sports stuff and working a lot at work. So
how was the pregame stuff? You went down there for the pregame stuff, right?
Yeah, so Dr. Pepper hosts the Fan Fest, which that's at the convention center. Indianapolis has a big, ginormous convention center, so had all kinds of events in there and got a bunch of free gear, and the bands were playing and things like that.
I didn't see you throwing the footballs at halftime, so you didn't get
it. They push those. They don't throw them.
Yeah.
Like those Dr. Pepper challenges. Geez, I think they give out like $100,000 for the winner for grad school, and the loser still gets $25,000 too. So, wow. But no, it was a good time. So
that's cool.
All right.
You going to go to the national championship now? Or the playoff?
I did actually check Rose Bowl tickets because I was curious. I was like, all right, we went to the Big Ten championship. Let's see what Rose Bowl. And I think the cheapest nosebleed tickets were $900. So you're talking about that, airfare, travel. I'm like, I'm out.
Hotels going to cost you 3 times that probably.
Yeah, I like Michigan, but not for that much. So. Anyways, but we'll roll in here. So we kind of introduce you guys what we've been up to. We're going to roll into the awards here. We're going to start with some of the big ones, and these are all our Player of the Year awards. And actually, Baton Stevens is sponsoring the plaques for all these. There's 5 awards: Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Lineman of the Year, and Iron Man of the Year. And Baton Stevens will sponsor nice 8x10 or so plaques for all of these winners as well. So we'll kick it off. We're going to look at Offensive Player of the Year. And we've sat and we kind of discussed, and there was a group of about probably 3-4 guys, but we kind of considered all things, playoff runs, quality of opponents, things like that, stats. And we ended up deciding Colton Cruz from Liberty Center, running back. He had a terrific year. And Tony and AJ said he had a great game as well in the state championship as well. The kid was averaging 10 yards a carry. It's hard to deny someone like that. I believe he also had 30 rushing touchdowns too. So, guys, what were your thoughts on Offensive Player of the Year and, on either Colton or maybe some other players you had in mind as well?
I mean,
go ahead, AJ.
Just the stat alone that he averaged 10 yards a carry. I mean, every time you put the ball in the kid's hand, you can count on maybe not necessarily a first down every time, but on average, you're getting pretty close to a first down. So he's a go-to guy for sure.
Yeah, and then the state game for sure. I mean, he was a workhorse all the way through the tournaments, and throughout the year. But during the year, I'm sure he didn't get as many as touches as he probably should have. Because they were winning so big. But during the playoffs, he really was a workhorse down the stretch, in my opinion, and kind of just through Liberty Center. He just picked it up and ran. In a couple of, and especially even in the state championship game, he broke off a couple of big runs there that got him moving and broke off the 1 touchdown run and a couple other big runs that was big for him.
Yep. Colton Cruz not the biggest guy, you'll see, but legs never stop turning. Like he's constantly feet just shuffling, trying to keep his balance. And as soon as he sees that hole and he hits it, he's gone. So, which what you guys saw down there.
I mean, some of the other guys you talked about. I mean, Houston Miranda. Trenton Barraza, just Jace Kepler, just some guys that, just workhorses for their teams. And unfortunately, they can't all win Offensive Player of the Year. You'd love to, but.
Yep. I think, too, you brought up Trenton Barraza as another candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. I would group Barraza and Cruz in the same category in terms of, their vision and elusiveness. We got to see both of them play in primetime games and huge playoff games as well. And they just kind of separated themselves from a lot of the other players we watched this year. And it's just like everything kind of slowed down for them when they played. They were able to see things. They were able to let things develop, let their blocks develop, especially downfield. And they were big-time players for both Columbus Grove and Liberty Center. So it was a pretty hard decision. All of these were tough. Geez, we sat here for probably about 30 minutes trying to decide on just only the Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, et cetera. But there's a lot of tough ones. So, again, Offensive Player of the Year from NWO Sports is Colton Cruz, running back from Liberty Center. The next award we're looking at is Defensive Player of the Year. Again, another tough decision, and I'll tell you right now, this came down to a coin flip, legitimately, because we could not decide, and both of these guys had phenomenal years. One was a defensive back, one was a defensive lineman, and those were both Trey Rubenstein and Grant Smith. Grant Smith finished the year with 23 tackles as a sophomore, first team All-State.
23 sacks.
23 sacks. I'm sorry about that. And that is incredible. I don't know of anyone else in Northwest Ohio that has posted sacks like that, especially being an underclassman, too.
It's been a long time.
It has. And I've talked to some other coaches about it, and they're pretty impressed with his performance. And he's got a lot of talent coming up. Trey Rubenstein, on the other hand, he's just a junior. There's a game he had, 4 interceptions?
Yep.
And
I think it was one half.
In one half. In one half, mind you. And a couple of those, one time he had, I don't remember which game it was. I know he had a picture in the Blade of the Toledo Blade newspaper. He was reaching up and he snagged it like almost Odell Beckham like.
And if you didn't actually read it, the caption, you would have thought he caught a touchdown pass. How good a catch it was.
It was phenomenal. But he showed off his athleticism all year long. And our Defensive Player of the Year, we ended up going with Trey Rubenstein from Napoleon, defensive back. Again, it's hard to deny this kid. He made a huge impact for the Wildcats all season long. when he was on the field, teams went away. Like if he's on defense, they did not throw anywhere near him, or vice versa on offense even too. They did not throw the ball anywhere near him, or they couldn't get the ball to him just because they were locking him down throughout the year. So guys, what were your comments on Defensive Player of the Year?
I think we pretty much covered it there. Just like you said, it was a tough decision, but like you said, literally came down to a coin flip. I still got the coin right here. So
yeah, we bounced that around for about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like just going up and down the positive. There really was no negatives for any of them.
No,
and it was all just positive comments. And finally, Tony's like, or AJ's like, I'm just going to get a coin.
Yeah, it's couldn't go wrong either direction we went. And the one thing about Trey Rubenstein that I really do like is that for Defensive Player of the Year, you don't necessarily have the stats to go off of. It's really about who do you feel was the player that was in the scouting report every week that they just had to make sure they kept an eye on him as far as the defensive player goes. And Trey Rubenstein was absolutely that guy.
Yep.
If he's picking the ball off 4 times and a half, from then on, every team going forward has to make sure they are very careful of what play they set up on his side of the field.
All right. Well, I think we covered that pretty well.
Yep.
Next one, we're looking at Coach of the Year. Again, right off the bat, we knew of some names on this list. We threw out their head coach of Liberty Center, Casey Moeller. Obviously, they had a state title appearance. Again, dominated entire season long. Coach Bill Inselman from Patrick Henry really had a lot of adversity this year as a team. Nash Meyer goes down. They've had a lot of their injuries throughout the season. And at the end of the day, they still ended up making to the state semifinals against all odds. And I think they proved a lot of people wrong. They proved us wrong. And we were kind of doubting them out. But you know what? They kept their heads down. They made adjustments, and they adapted. We threw out Coach Eric Becker from Tenora. Again, he had a lot of adversity this year. First-year head coach, trying to take the reins of a quality Tenora program as well, and they ended up, with a playoff berth, a piece of the GMC too.
Yeah.
So those were kind of 3 candidates we were looking at.
Actually, did Coach Schaefer from Columbus Grove.
Coach Schaefer from Columbus Grove, you can't deny him.
In there too. So
3 consecutive regional finals.
3 or 4.
Yeah,
3 or 4, and I mean those really 4 were at the top of our list, and we did some talking. And it's just hard to deny the season that Patrick Henry had. So we ended up going with Coach Bill Inselman from Patrick Henry. Again, they came into this year thinking that they're going to bring back their star quarterback in Nash Meyer, have him throughout the entire season. They had state championship hopes with him, and then he got injured. Other guys got injured as well, and it's kind of like everyone was doubting him, dropping him off the radars. But they adapted, they adjusted their play. Lincoln Krieger really stepped up for him as well this season. Did a very nice job. Thomas Smith, other guys stepped up too. Yep. Landon Johnson, he didn't necessarily get the touches he wanted during the last half of the season, but he still contributed nicely as well. And a lot of other guys, Grant Smith, Houston Miranda, the list goes on and on. But Coach Bill Inselman, the dude's a legend. I mean, he's been around for a long time. And one thing I really commend him and his coaching staff for is their ability to adapt. There's a lot of coaches out there that I've heard or talked to, and especially coaches that have been there for a long time. They don't like to change. That some of them get in these mindsets where I've done it this X amount of years, 20, 30, 40 years, whatever. If it's worked, don't change it. But Coach Inselman, he's got that insight, he's got that wisdom that he kind of knows when things need to be adjusted. It's same with this year. They want to go back to running a little bit more with the tight end on the ball, things like that. Yep. And they established the run game. Houston Miranda had a great year at running back as well. So I'll let you guys talk. I've done enough talking for Coach of the Year. What are your guys' thoughts?
You just covered everything. I don't need to add anything to that one. I've been just like you. That's just Coach Inselman mentioned at the very beginning of the season that they were going to go back to that new offense, back to the old style offense, I guess. And then in the middle of the year, you got to adapt to all the injuries and everything else that happened. Just an excellent job of the whole. I mean, that could really go to the entire coaching staff over there.
Yeah, it seemed like almost once Nash went down, next week somebody else went down, and somebody else went down. So it was like a consecutive domino effect, and they just kept getting better every week. So when you wind up in the Final Four, and as I personally said a couple times, and if you ask Coach Inselman in 2005 state championship or this year, obviously your high-end goal is the state title, but he's probably extremely proud, more proud of this team than possibly his state championship team. just of what
I would say
everything
that's a
they've
fair statement.
overcome.
And guys, who they played this state semifinals?
Right, I was going to bring that up. That's
Right.
very easily, if they match up on the opposite side of that bracket, they could end up with a state championship appearance like Liberty Center had. But they match up against Marion Local, who shut out the entire playoffs,
Right.
and broke several state records in the state game.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we showed up to the Liberty Center game, and Marion Local had played right before that. And we asked a couple of guys that we knew there that had watched that previous game, and they were all like, that game was horrible. That was awful. It
wasn't even close.
It wasn't
by
even
half.
close. I didn't even need to be here for that. It's like, good grief. It was.
Yeah.
I think it was 30-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
In the state championship game. So if they match up on the other side of the bracket, they may end up with a state championship appearance.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a nice job this year. I'm real proud of what PH did, and hopefully they can continue it next year.
For sure. Let's look at the next award. We're looking at Lineman of the Year. I think this one's a front runner. We had one name in mind, and I'm sure everyone else did too. I'll just go ahead and say it right now. That's Landon Bockelman from Liberty Center. Kid's been a beast. He really was a staple of that offense, even defense too, defensive line as well. He's a first-team All-Ohio kid for the second year in a row too. He's just got a lot of talent. He's got a big body, very humble personality as well. He's just one of those guys that he goes to work every single day. And we talked too defensively. It's not like his stats popped out, and we talked about that for games too, but he was always making plays at the right time when it was needed in crunch time moments. And a lot of the reason that he wasn't, quote unquote, like the stat popping out type of player, a lot of times he's dealing with double, triple teams on defense, offense. They're trying to scheme against him. But in my eyes, if you could have that effect on a team where teams need to change their game plan to adjust for you, I think that's just incredible. So
Just like AJ said, you go into that game, we got to stop that guy right there. So what are you going to do? You two guys, possibly a third guy, watch that guy right there. That's your job. You have one job, is to keep him out of the backfield.
Yeah. And then, and then offensively, they just, they would, when they needed a yard, it seemed like they always went to that side. And, there's several, the Liberty Center line altogether, but, you look at the other linemen as well from Columbus Grove, they ran the ball well too. And, but just Landon Bachman just seemed to be, in the forefront every time you talked about something, defensive line, offensive line, he was always there. So,
Yep.
I think something too, with Landon Bachman, the Lineman of the Year, he played both sides, and he played both sides very well. So I think Bachman is very deserving of this Lineman of the Year award from us here at NWO Sports. The last award out of the 5 is the Iron Man of the Year award, and this always goes to a player that maybe has faced some adversity over the years, whether it be injury, just situation they're put in. Like last year, quarterback from Wasion, Trey Parsons, got the award. And, he was kind of a player that sat behind. He waited his turn for a long time, and he just worked and worked and worked. And, he got the starting job last season, and he's just ran away with it ever since. And he's done a phenomenal job there over at Wasion playing quarterback. This season, a little bit different. So we had some different entries for this, and some kids that were dealing with injuries and kind of overcame all odds in different situations. But this year it's going to go to a team, and I think it's very deserving. We talked about this. Again, it's going to go to Patrick Henry because of everything that they've dealt with. For them to adapt and to make it to the state semifinals against all odds. And you look at the halfway point, that they were in a good situation. I don't think everyone on the outside looking in was doubting him. And again, I feel like we just keep going on repeat with the whole Patrick Henry program. You can't say it enough. They just did an excellent job for them to end up in the state semifinals, to get out of their region, a tough region too. They played a tough game against Macomb. They had beat some other really good teams in that region as well. That award is going to go to the Patrick Henry football team. So, guys, thoughts on the Iron Man of the Year award?
No, we've talked about it enough. Yeah, I think that's when you, like you said, you look at the last half of the season. They ran through the first half of the season, then an injury happens right before they played Liberty Center. Then I believe the statement that was made, they got taken out behind the woodshed, which they did. And you look at the last half of the season, they played Liberty Center, then they play Archbold, and then the 2 losses that they had the season. But all in all, I think they did a fantastic job.
All right. Well, that wraps up our awards. Again, we want to thank Bat Stevens Body Shop for sponsoring those awards. We'll get them printed out here now that we've finally decided. So I got to reach out to the companies, and we'll get them to all those players or teams here in the near future. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back with the all NWO sports teams.
3Chord is a family-owned and operated business who offers the highest quality embroidery, screen printing, sign and promotional items to customers in Northwest Ohio at competitive prices. Locations in Archbold, Napoleon, and Bowling Green. Check them out at 3chord.com. That's THREECORD.com. Optimal Performance Fitness is your go-to gym in Northwest Ohio, providing group fitness classes, personal training, and sports performance sessions for area athletes. Located in Napoleon, Ohio, give them a call today at 419-438-7265. BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, we are always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. For any of your auto body or collision needs, be sure to check out Bat & Stevens Body Shop, voted the #1 body shop in Northwest Ohio by Crescent News readers. Give them a call today at 419-497-3111 to schedule your free estimate. Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on TenoraRams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. Fairchild Family Chiropractic aims to help families to get better together in the least invasive way possible. Dr. Fairchild focuses on the neck using the Blair technique and Palmer package, adjusting to correct spinal misalignments. Located in Defiance, Ohio, call Dr. Fairchild today at 419-576-5070 to schedule an appointment. Crystal Vasquez of Amerimaid Realty is a top real estate agent in Northwest Ohio. Crystal's compassion and enthusiasm allow her to find that special property or house just for you. Located in Bryan, Ohio, give her a call today at 419-799-1243. Jimenez Basketball Academy strives to create an atmosphere to cultivate basketball fundamentals in Northwest Ohio youth athletes, offering one-on-one sessions, group sessions, speed and agility training, and much more. Located in Pettisville, Ohio, call Coach Jesse today at 419-551-8105. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at nwoball.com. The Thunderdome is your local indoor softball and baseball facility offering private lessons, turf infield, batting cages, and pitching machine rentals, even offering a golf simulator. Located in Archbold, Ohio. Give them a call today at 419-906-3643. Nicely Rentals and Storage is your go-to venue for graduation parties, birthdays, weddings, and more. Also offering vehicle storage, table and chair rentals, and U-Haul equipment. Located in Ayersville, Ohio. Give them a call today at 419-439-6177.
Trueland Equipment and Salesman Lauren Brown are your go-to for John Deere equipment in Archbold, Ohio. Mowers, compact tractors, skid loaders, and more. Your sales expert on commercial turf and CCE sales. Give Lauren a call today at 419-445-1565. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're going to go ahead and reveal our first and second teams for the all NWO Sports team. So first, we'll start with first team offense, and we're going to look at quarterback. And we are going with Carson Altimus of Antwerp and Jace Kepler of Bryan. Two phenomenal guys. Both were first team in their respective conferences as well. What comments do you guys have for these two great quarterbacks?
I'll speak on Kepler. I'll let Keith speak on Carson Altimus. Kepler, I mean, threw for over 1,500 yards, ran for over 1,000 yards. I mean, what more can you ask for out of a quarterback, especially in high school? I mean, to do that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Carson Altimus, one of those names that kids are going to remember forever. Like the younger kids coming up are going to want to be Carson Altimus. Set school records. Some name's going to be on the record book in Antwerp and the high school there forever. Rushing game wasn't quite what we saw in the past, but his right arm. I mean, he could throw it through the wind. That's for sure, and hit somebody right in the numbers.
All right, we're looking at the next position group here. We're looking at running back. For running back, we have Colton Cruz from Liberty Center, Trenton Barraza from Columbus Grove, and Houston Miranda from Patrick Henry. Guys, thoughts on these fine running backs here?
I just speak on all three of them. I know they're all from the NWAL. All three teams were deep in the playoffs. And it just to me, when you went and watched these guys play, all three of them were just dominant in the back there. So I think it's well deserved.
Yep, couldn't go wrong with these three. We actually left a couple of good names off this list.
Yeah.
But at Cruz, Barraza, top of the line, and Miranda is one of those just kept bringing his lunch pail to work every single Friday night.
Yeah, very well said. Keith, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, obviously I've talked about Cruz and Barraza and their vision. We never got a chance to see Miranda play this season. But again, he's another great running back and was always a staple for that offense of Patrick Henry as well. Next position group, we're looking at wide receiver and tight end. For first team, we have Tyson Rodriguez from Wauseon, Landon Brewer from Antwerp, Landon Johnson from Patrick Henry, and Trey Rubenstein from Napoleon. So, guys, thoughts here?
Yeah, I'll take all four of those guys on my team.
It's going to be like, who are you going to throw to when you need a 4th and 7 here? It's like, boy, which one of these guys they want?
Yeah, it's my thing would be the defense is like, hey, which one of these guys are they going to throw to? But yeah, I'll take all four of those guys in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Next category, we're looking at offensive line. Landon Bockelman from Liberty Center, Seth Navarre from Liberty Center, Mason Siegel from Archbold, Brian Burrows from Archbold, and Caden Allman from Defiance. I'll kind of talk on this a little bit since I was an offensive lineman. So obviously we gotta follow Landon Bockelman and Seth Navarre quite a bit from Liberty Center. These guys dominated the front, and even when they made it deep to the playoffs, and believe me, they got challenged. There were some games deep in the playoffs. They stood toe-to-toe, and things didn't always go their way, but they kind of got back on track. You know, a lot of times it was after halftime. They made some adjustments and really showed, some grit down the stretch, and I really like that a lot out of an offensive lineman. Mason Siegel, Brian Burrows, we got to see them play against Coldwater as well. Yep. Two physical kids on the front. They were really huge contributors on that Archbold offense as well. And then Caden Allman from Defiance, when you get third team All-Ohio, that's definitely worthy of getting first team for us. So that concludes for first team All NWO Sports on offense. We're looking at first team All NWO Sports on defense. So we'll kick it off with the linebacker category. Here we have Trenton Cruz from Liberty Center, Grady Gusweiler from Tenora, and Austin Kovar from Wauseon. So guys, thoughts on this group here?
Again, you can't go wrong with those three guys in that defensive backfield there as linebackers they're gonna bring it. Trenton Cruz,
what do you say, 30 tackles for loss?
Yeah, 30 tackles for loss. And I tell you what, the bomb that he delivered to that kid from Oak Harbor. Oh my gosh. Goodness. He was bringing the wood that night. And I tell you what, he was fun to watch, and he didn't let up either. He just kept night after night, just pounding people. So he was fun to watch. Grady, another great kid. We got to watch him all season. And Austin Kovar, when you're throwing up those kind of stats, I'll take him. You're going to make those kind of tackles? Not going to get very far.
Yeah, this is one intense linebacking core right there. I mean, I don't know who's got the highest intensity out of these three.
Yeah, all workhorses for sure. And, Trenton Cruz, we got to see him play quite a bit. Man, that kid hits like no other. It was crazy, that hit that I posted when I was videoing on the sidelines and stuff. That went viral. It had like 30,000, 40,000 views on just Facebook. And then it was crazy, but people love it. They love the physicality. And that's what Liberty Center is all about, is that physical brand of football. And he's all about that. Again, with Gusweiler, we watched him and we were able to follow him with Tenora Rams live all season. He just has a motor, and he goes and he goes and he goes and he doesn't stop. And that's what you need from your linebackers. He was a leader on that Tenora football team as well. He's definitely going to be missed by that program for sure, because he's been a staple ever since even being a freshman, getting some playing time, and as a sophomore, always been one of the better linebackers in the Green Meadows Conference since he started.
And we're just speaking linebacker here, Logan, but on special teams,
right?
I mean, it was a whole nother element that Grady added every single Friday from a freshman, which we saw during the COVID year. We kind of erased that from our memories, but when we went down to Lake High School, I think he had 2 or 3 blocked punts in that game.
Oh, yeah. I think in previous
as a freshman.
Previous seasons as a freshman or even sophomore, he had like 5-6 blocked punts. Unbelievable. So special teams play, I mean, you can kind of group that into defense too, because those are huge plays and they matter just as much as playing on the defensive side of the ball. So looking at defensive line for first team, this one's a no-brainer. Landon Bachman, obviously, he was our lineman of the year. Had a great season as well. Grant Smith from Patrick Henry, he was the other guy for consideration for defensive player of the year when you have 23 sacks. That's just unbelievable as a sophomore. A lot of potential there. Kyle Lathrop from Columbus Grove. He had a huge sack in the Bluffton game in the regional final. I believe he finished with somewhere north of 16-plus sacks for the season as well, and a stout Columbus Grove defense that was tough all year long. And then Wyatt Ripke from Archbold, a big body, and he played pretty well on the defensive front there too. So thoughts on the defensive line group for first team?
I mean, this is a great honor for these 4 individuals, and if you're a running back in Northwest Ohio, I'm not sure that you're even getting a yard on this front 4. And you're definitely not getting back through the linebackers.
Yeah, with that front 4 and the linebackers that are going to be filling holes, you better be ready to get hit. I can tell you that. It's a tough group, buddy.
And Tony, you kind of mentioned too, like when you pick these things, you talk about making like an all-star team. I tell you what, it's fun to compare these. Like you talk about these running backs running against these guys, these offensive linemen. Yeah. Like I'd love to see this and these guys go at it. And I know some of these guys, we did both ways. Some of them can get it for both offense and defense. But, it'd be awesome to see this kind of go either in a simulation or live somehow, some way in an all-star game. And I know that Perrysburg usually has an all-star game, and that's got a lot of the local teams. Right. But to see these groups of guys here, ooh, I'd pay some big money to go watch that football game. That would be awesome to see. So that's our defensive line. Defensive back for first team, we have Trey Rubenstein from Napoleon. The dude was a highlight reel all year long. And we talked about that one interception he had. Yep. It literally was like Odell Beckham. And like Keith said, seriously would have thought it was an offensive catch, but no, it was a defensive grab. 4 interceptions before half. 8 on the year, very deserving. He's our defensive player of the year as well. Landon Cruz from Liberty Center is the next one for defensive back. We got to watch him play quite a bit following Liberty Center through the playoffs. He was just a workhorse, providing great coverage throughout the entire playoffs, and as well as his teammate Cam Colley. Both finished with a good amount of interceptions as well. And then the last defensive back was Tyson Rodriguez from Wauseon. Again, we call him Mr. Showtime because he literally does it all. Offense, defense, special teams. He is definitely one you want on your team. So, guys, thoughts on the defensive back for first team, all NWO sports?
Again, there was a great group of kids out there that you could pick from. And, you narrow it down and do your best to pick the best 4. And, again, defensively, if I'm an offensive guy and I got to line up against that defense, not real sure what you're going to do because you're probably not going to be able to run the ball, and you're going to be throwing the ball against those 4 defensive backs. You're really taking your life into your own hands there because a lot of interceptions between all those guys. So, it's a good group of kids.
Yep. And then the last part, we have the special teams we're looking at for first team, and we did kicker and a punter. For kicker, we had Ian Rosebrook from Liberty Center and punter Max Walker from Liberty Center. Again, Tony brought up the point with Rosebrook. When you're kicking 80-something extra points throughout the year,
that's unbelievable.
You add in a couple field goals as well, and he had a couple nice field goals throughout the playoff run that kind of helped add to that padding of their lead, or even just trying to compete with some of the teams. And then Max Walker, he did a nice job at punting the ball as well, somewhere I believe in the mid 30s. Yeah. Or so.
36, I believe Max said, 37, something like that.
So very nice season from those two. So that concludes our first team, all NWO sports teams. And then we'll roll through the second team here and kind of let you know our thoughts here. So again, these all were tough. We sat here for probably an hour and a half picking through.
It was hard.
And again,
really
it's
hard.
Seriously, like
you have to flip,
you have to flip a coin because there's a lot of great athletes in Northwest Ohio for football. So we'll go ahead. We'll kick it off. Quarterback for second team all NWO sports offense was Trey Parsons from Wauseon. A quality season when you finish with the best interception to and touchdown ratio in the NWOAL. Obviously, he was our Iron Man of the Year award winner from last season. Yep. But again, another great season from a pass-heavy offense in Wauseon. And then the other one we had was Xavier McCord from Holgate. Again, you talk about like Carson Altimus being like a legend at Antwerp. Similar situation for Xavier McCord. And we threw in 8-man into this because these guys, they put in the effort, they put in the work. They deserve just as much recognition as the 11-man as well. So, guys, any comments on the quarterbacks for second team all NWO sports?
No, I mean, again, there's other people out there, and I'm going to throw this out there. When you look at all the state things, we don't pick 8 quarterbacks, guys. We pick 2.
Yeah.
we need to, if you're thinking about playing a game, honestly, you got your starter and your backup. So if you're going to play, if you put a team against team, you'll have 2 quarterbacks on each team. We don't pick 8 like the state does.
Right, yeah.
So, you could pick a lot more, but try to narrow it down to basically 4, first team, second team. That's tough, but yeah, Xavier McCord is going to be one of those guys, like you said. It's going to be they're going to remember Xavier McCord at Holgate for a long time.
Keith, any comments for you?
No, I think you guys hit it all on the head there.
All right, next position group for second team on offense is the running back position. Sam Harold from Bryan, Lucas Dominic from Archbold, Torrin Knieven from Ayersville. Another really hard-nosed group. Sam Harold, there for a time it was like he was averaging 200 yards a game there for a stretch. Not only that, he'd contribute in the passing game as well. He'd have a couple really nice receptions. But the dude was a workhorse. Lucas Dominic from Archbold, again, another kid that was a workhorse for that Archbold team, and he just played his butt off, and he was a staple for the Archbold offense. And then Torrin Knieven from Ayersville. Again, unfortunately, he had his season come a little bit short due to injury too. But again, he's another one that he led the GMC in rushing yards, and he just goes to work every single game. So thoughts on this group here?
Very tough group. I mean, Harold, Dominic, and Knieven. And we hope that Torrin can rebound and have a good senior season coming up.
Absolutely.
But the other 2, Harold just put the ball in his bread basket and had a heck of a year. I mean, he really did. And Lucas Dominic's the same. We discussed actually a couple of these for first team as well, but they fell in the second team. It's really tough to decide between some of these kids.
I mean, when you're looking at all these guys, most of these guys that we've picked are 1,000-yard rushers. I mean, just look at the stats real quick. Lucas Dominic is at 930. It's what do you do? Torrin Knieven, even with his season cut a little bit short, was over 1,000 yards. So when the lowest guy on the list is 932 yards rushing, and I'll take that.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's move on to the next position group, wide receiver / tight end. Another great group of athletic guys. We have Abe Delano from Ayersville, Chase Miller from Archbold, Jack Hurst from Archbold, and Thomas Smith from Patrick Henry. We talked about, I think Abe Delano, he was kind of banged up from what it sounds like. And again, he was a game changer. Not only was he, you could group him as an athlete because they lined him up in the backfield. He did a little bit of everything for that offense, and he was a huge contributor for the Pilots all season long. Chase Miller, another quality wide receiver. He was one of the top targets for Cade Brenner as well. Jack Hurst, we talk about threats. Like, that kid did it all as well, especially in the special teams game. And even Miller contributed to that too. And I think at one point in time, Hurst and Miller were like one of the better combos for return men around the area. Yes. Correct. And then Thomas Smith from Patrick Henry, the run he had come playoff time, just phenomenal. Like, that 6'3" frame. At one point, I believe the Macomb game, they were just throwing up fades to the end zone. He was catching them over defensive backs, but he really stepped up, and he had a great senior season. So, guys, thoughts on this group here?
Again, I can't say it enough when you're narrowing it down to this. The everybody that we played in Northwest Ohio down to this few of kids. It's hard to do, and I know there's some names we've left off, and it's just hard to pick when you get down to this group. And but again, four great names.
Yeah, Delano and Miller carbon copy of each other, really. I mean, both identical, same position, run, pass, you name it. And we talked in between break. It's kind of hindsight for Thomas Smith. It's like, what if this kid played 4 years of football? Like, hey, you can't look back, but he had one heck of a run, and just kind of, scratches your head just a little bit. Like, he gives you, what if this kid played 4 years, especially with Neischmeyer last year. Or actually the last 2 years, 2.5 years, really. So, but one heck of a year for Thomas Smith. Just basically came out of nowhere and boom.
I agree. The last group we have here for the offensive side for second team, Kylan Mays, Columbus Grove, Gavin Schwiebert, Patrick Henry, Cyrus Gale, from from Antwerp, Titus Rufinock from Archbold, Ethan Cordaway from Ayersville. Again, this was another tough decision. There's a lot of good linemen out there in the area, and these guys kind of stood up above the others as well. They're all, they got their accolades from the conference and state as well. But these guys were all huge contributors on their team and, really did a nice job all season long. So we'll look at the second team, all NWO Sports on defense, and we're looking at the linebacker position first. Landon Akmoudi from Columbus Grove. We got to see Columbus Grove's defense play a little bit. Really was a big contributor, one of the leading tacklers on Columbus Grove as well. He did a nice job at filling in for 3 really big vacancies on the linebacker core for Columbus Grove. And I believe I heard somewhere too, Coach Schaefer said he didn't know what was going to kind of come about, with missing those guys. Right. And they had some key players that stepped up, and he was definitely one of them this season. Brady Clark from Ayersville. We got to watch him play against Sonora.
Another kid that brings the wood.
Yeah. Yes, no kidding.
He was fun to watch that game.
He was really fun to watch.
Watching this kid for 10, 11 games.
Yeah, excellent season from Brady. He's got a very physical style of play. Heavy hands too. Geez, he would really kind of take on those blocks, and he would shed them as well. But he was a very physical player. And then Joey Robinson from Defiance had a fine season as well. So any more thoughts on this group here?
No.
All right. Well, let's roll on. We got a couple other categories, and then we'll wrap things up here. Defensive line, we're looking at Seth Navarre from Liberty Center. Again, I feel like we're on the Liberty Center train, but, man, they had a lot of great athletes. And I said, too, a lot of these kids, if they weren't at Liberty Center, and they would be superstars on any other team that they'd play in this area. Seth Navarre, it was like a 1-2 punch with him and Bockelman on the line. Great season. It was always, Bockelman kind of coming from one side and then Navarre coming from the other. And then you throw in the next guy we're going to talk about, Xander Zeider. He would kind of take things up in the middle at times. And, but all 3 of those guys, geez, they're tough on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, they were really tough. When you watch them play, that's just, they weren't giving up much.
And David Organ from Archbold, a big body up the middle that really kind of helped to stop the run game for teams. And we saw him play against Tenor at first, and he rolled out. And I was like, geez, who's this kid? I had to look it up on the roster. And he was a monster for sure. And then Rainer Clemens from Bryan also had a great season as well. So last category here, defensive back. We're looking at Lincoln Krieger from Patrick Henry, Chase Miller from Archbold, Zach Reynolds from Columbus Grove, and Garrett Rodenberger from Defiance. I tell you what, this for second team, geez, I don't even know.
That's a good first team, honestly.
That should be a first team too. But Krieger, second team All-State defensive back, really had a nice year. Chase Miller again from Archbold, I believe he had some All-State accolades. Zach Reynolds, geez, kind of a kid that really surprised me. I didn't really know much about him until we went to that Bluffton game, that part 2, the regional final.
Yeah, he's got some hops.
He does, geez. I hope he plays basketball because he's definitely throwing some down. But yeah, no, very impressive. He had a really good game. Garrett Rodenberger from Defiance. How can you not mention this kid's name? We saw him week 1 on Thursday night against Napoleon, and this kid lays the wood. I said he's one of the most physical players that I've seen in some time, and he really brought the physicality all year long. And coming from a defensive back position, he played it really well.
And there was a couple more hits that we saw on YouTube throughout the year, and just coming through that line
from
and
St. Mary's too.
Right.
Yeah. He would just knock the snot out of some kids, to be honest. Literally. So, any thoughts here, guys?
I tell you what, guys, would you step back, and I probably should wait till we get done with this, but you step back and you look at these 2 teams, first team, second team. I would take this group of kids and put them against anybody in the state, to be honest. I mean, this is a group of kids that like to bring the hit sticks, and you got great running backs, you got big linemen that like to move people on the offensive side, receivers that you just throw the ball up and let them go get. I mean, I tell you what, this is a great group of athletes that we're talking about here, and I tell you what, they'd be good for anybody that wants to take them to the next level.
Like when you want to sim this game, like you take Coach Cooper, Coach Moeller, Coach I, Coach Schaefer. You take them as your 4 coaches. You take these group of kids with you, and we'll play anybody in the Midwest, and I'll take these guys right here.
100%.
That'd be great.
That's another comment too, Tony. You talked about linemen. these linemen are big, but they're not slow. And,
No.
I mean, they've got good feet on them. They're athletic too. That's a thing with linemen is you want guys that are athletes on the line, and these aren't like your stereotypical big, slow linemen that can't move. These are some dudes that are athletes, and geez, like for Bockelman, for instance, they were talking about him being the fastest on the team. I know, obviously, we confirmed with Coach Moeller he's not, but still, guys like that, they can move really well. And that's what you need from a good offensive and defensive line. So, these kids can go out and they can compete with anyone in the state, no doubt in my mind. So, we'll finish it up with second team. For special teams kicker, we had Jacob Bishop from Tenora and punter Tyson Rodriguez from Wasion. And Tyson, again, this kid, he did it all. Punt the ball, return the ball, catch the ball, maybe run the ball a couple times. He did it all, and he did an excellent job,
He
too.
would be honestly like your specialist of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
specialist. He did it all, and he did a nice job at it too.
Everything
for punting the ball,
yes,
kicking the ball.
yes.
He had a handful of field goals, kicking from 30, approaching 40 yards. Punting the ball, he punted it at a nice clip, mid 30s.
catch a touchdown, throw a touchdown, return a kick for a touchdown. I mean, there's
kidding.
nothing that this kid did not do in his senior season. I mean, he covered every single thing you could possibly do, except call a play. Maybe you're going to call a play on offense. I don't know.
Right. And then with Jacob Bishop from Sonora, we followed him year round. And obviously he did a nice job. Last year I think maybe had a little bit better season, had more opportunities for kicks.
For field goals, yes.
But geez, he had a punt for 70 yards, I think.
9, I believe.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And it just kept on going and going and going. And he had quite a few punts too, where he pinned them inside the 20, a couple coffin corner kicks and
Kickoffs, most of those probably
Touchbacks
60% plus were through the end zone. So
And again, when you talk special teams, flipping the field like that is huge. I mean, it's the third part of the game. You have offense, defense, and special teams. And if you can have a quality special teams player, that can make all the difference, especially when, offense and defense are pretty evenly matched. So, but anyways, all excellent athletes. I'll release the honorable mention list later on, but, again, this list was tough. We sat here for a long time, and we just kind of had to start deciding and making some executive decisions here late tonight. So congratulations to all these kids. Like I said, I'll release all this on social media, post it out there. But it's been a fun year. It's been a good year, and a lot of good athletes, and I'm glad we got to honor a lot here tonight. So, but other than that, guys, that concludes our podcast, the final of 2023. So what are your closing thoughts?
fun year from start to finish, from the coaches show in the summer before the season started, covering Sonora through the playoffs. It was a fun time then. Probably had even more fun in the playoffs, following different schools that we don't get to see throughout the year, and meeting all the coaches, the fans, the kids after the game, just the interaction with that. Coming off of the field against Liberty Center when they defeated Southview. Was that at Findlay?
That the Findlay one was Columbus Grove.
Or Columbus Grove.
Columbus Grove.
Yes. And yeah, that's right. And you almost felt like a celebrity for a second. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, that game, and then I don't know. Are you talking about
Valley View?
Liberty Center?
Yeah, Valley View. Yes.
Yeah, we were walking off the field at Valley View, and I think AJ said it on one of the previous podcasts. Everyone's asking, "Are we going to do a podcast next week? Are we going to do one?" And I'm like, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just here to promote the kids, and we're not promoting ourselves. And it was like, boy, now you kind of know what like a celebrity feels like for a split second. But yeah, we're just here to promote the kids. But just the interaction with all the fans and all the social media posts that Logan deals with all week long.
Both good and bad.
Both good and bad. Mostly good. Every now and then there's a couple you got to deal with.
I totally expect it. Like, I can take the criticism. So,
but yeah, just the road trips that we had this year, to and from, our ridiculous setups that we somehow managed thanks to AJ getting through most of those. It was probably the most memorable year I've had in quite some time. So thank you guys. And AJ had to leave, but but it was fantastic from start to finish. There definitely really didn't have a dull moment in the entire time.
Yeah,
really, it's fun.
I mean, I agree with you 100%, Keith. The just to having fun, the car rides, the chatting and the stories, and we mentioned that before. But reaching out to all the fans and all the coaches, what just the welcoming that you gave us. And AJ and I went to the state championship game, and right away walked down the sideline. People come up and started saying hi to us, talking to us. It's just awesome. To welcome us in, and and I know. Shelby kind of made a comment one time because I'm like, yeah, I think that's on us. Like right away, she caught me for saying us, like for Liberty Center, because absolutely, we're rooting for our local teams the whole way, and jumped on the Liberty Center bandwagon for sure, Columbus Grove bandwagon, PH bandwagon. Following them all the way through the tournament, was hoping the best for all of them, and and it was a lot of fun that we had 3 teams running deep into playoffs, so we got to take some extra trips and those extra games. And I tell you what a blast. And, like you said, from the crazy setups for Logan standing on one leg with his arm out in the air and trying to videotape over at Antwerp. And I was at the fan in the stands at that game. And, to being at the games where it's really cold then AJ and I go to the state championship game and it's 58 degrees, I think. It's 1st of December, and you think, wow, this is a pretty nice day. You think you're going to be standing out there freezing to death, and you actually didn't even really need a coat. But just been a great year, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and Logan for all the hard work you guys do setting this up. Like I've told everybody that when I talk to us, I literally just show up and talk most of the time. AJ and Keith kind of does the setup. I help plug in some wires, but other than that, it's up to you guys to get everything set up. And I appreciate everything, and I really do appreciate the fans and the kids that watch and support us, because like Keith said, we're here to support you guys, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you guys had a lot of valid points and a lot of great points too. For me, it's been a blast. A lot of memories have been made this year, from Tenor Rams Live to NWO Sports. We've really had a lot of fun. We kind of worked through some things too. Obviously, if I could put together something of what goes on behind the scenes,
a blooper reel
of all the issues we ran into. Geez, like the time I dropped the SD card in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
I literally drove back here at the body shop, and I was looking for my SD card at 1 a.m. Couldn't find it. My wife came out the next morning, found it, and I went and worked all day, and then I edited the podcast on my way to go salmon fishing. Jeez.
Think about that, people trying to find an SD card, the size of an SD card
at 1 a.m.
in a parking lot.
It's not lit.
Yeah, so I was looking with my iPhone light. Oh my gosh! And then editing it. And then I stayed up till 5 a.m. I fell asleep on the riverbank. That's just one memory. From that, all the other issues that we've had. I've appreciated. All the traveling that we've got to do. We've got to meet a lot of great fans, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players,
a lot of great athletic directors too.
A lot of
shout out to athletic directors.
Top
Fantastic.
notch. Yes.
I mean, even going to Clay High School when we went to watch Liberty Center play up there, they met us and they talked to us and showed us around some stuff, and just the athletic directors have treated us fantastic.
Yeah, the Liberty Center Tigers Live crew, we go up and talk to them for a couple minutes before the games and talk to Mark on the sidelines a couple times. I mean, it was...
Yeah, that's something too. We have a great time talking to all the other media members.
Yes.
It's always nice when everyone gets along great, and we always just talk about whatever sports or sometimes we get off topic. Obviously, if you watch the podcast, we know we get off topic too. So, but no, we've had a great time. I'm trying to think what else for me. I just like to say a lot of thank yous too. I'd like to thank you guys. I know obviously AJ had to leave a little bit early, but this show wouldn't be what it is without you guys. I appreciate everything for you guys taking time out of your week to go. We went to all those games as well. That means a lot. We have a really good time with it too. Also like to thank all the coaches and, like you said, ADs and fans and players. They're the ones that make this thing go. We just like supporting them. There's been a lot of long weeks. I probably figured, obviously I work a full-time job and I work a lot of extra hours too. And I think I calculated, there's sometimes I put like 15 to 20 hours on average a week just into like the script and everything, all the research. There's a lot that goes into this, but we try to put together a quality presentation, and sponsors too, sponsors that help for all this gear I'll list them here in a second. But, that really helps to make things go from equipment to, some apparel to help represent us. It just helps make the whole experience better and allow us to cover the kids. Even like some of the camera equipment that I have, they put out the highlight reels. Like those are,
those are great.
I enjoy doing it. And, the fans and kids like it a lot too. So, we'll keep on upgrading stuff like that. We have those sponsors. So, but other than that, I'm just thankful. I'm appreciative. of everyone out there that helps to make NWO sports grow. Because I started this, probably 2.5, 3 years ago. And I would have never imagined it'd be this today. So
next year will be bigger, Logan. You're looking to.
I was going to say that bigger and better. I'm already looking forward to. Obviously, I do some of the other sports, but football is our main one. Yep. That's always been my love and my passion, especially promoting the kids in Northwest Ohio. From here on out, we're in basketball season, wrestling. I'll cover all them, but I'm already looking towards the football coaches show next year. And believe me, this thing's going to be a bang. It's going to be bigger and better. I'm already talking to some people, getting some different things set up, and it should be an absolute blast. And hopefully we get a really big turnout. So, but other than that, I've got nothing else. And I'd just like to thank these sponsors that helped to make all this go. That's 3Court, our primary sponsor. Can't say enough about Shane. He's been a big driver from day one that I started this thing. So 3Court has been an amazing sponsor. Optimal Performance Fitness, BSN Sports, and Jim Garris. They provided all this stuff too.
That's awesome.
Have done an excellent job. Bat Stevens Body Shop, using this facility too. Rams Live, Jimenez Basketball Academy, Fairchild Family Chiropractic, NWO Basketball, the Drop Zone Pizzeria, Crystal Vasquez of Amerimaid Realty, Nicely Storage and Rentals, the Thunderdome, and Truland Equipment, and Lauren Brown. And I can't say enough about all those sponsors. They've really helped out quite a bit. And again, just stay tuned. From here, I'll go ahead and we'll release, podcasts, hopefully on a monthly basis of some of the other sports. But other than that, stay tuned for the next NWO Sports podcast in the near future. And thanks for watching.
See you, everybody.